Yes, I'm a graduate of an HBCU.
You know what? I only went to an HBCU for 1 year. That was
That
all I
counts.
could afford.
That counts.
Barbara Scotia.
And that's sorry, we hadn't formed the Time Joyner Foundation at the time. Because the Time Joyner Foundation is for students who have run out of money at HBCUs. That's what we do. And I'm here to tell you, had not been for an HBCU where you're expected to succeed, I probably would not be here now. That's what HBCUs do. They nurture you. You're not just a number, you're not just a stat, you are family. And I'm a witness. I come from a town called Tuskegee, Alabama. And that's where I learned to help and help and help. That's what we do at HBCUs. So Monica, thank you. Thank you for all for coming. Stage is yours.
Oh my gosh. Give it up for Tom Joyner. So every year, right after the Sky Show, we welcome high school students from the Central Florida area and even some colleges. Valencia in the house? Okay, all right. Because Valencia, in their 2-year process, they need to step on and move into a 4-year school. So we always have this college fair, and we kick it off with you all in mind. We give you a panel. We then let you go and just talk to some of the HBCUs, find out what it is they're looking for, and then see if you have what it takes. You all have what it takes, don't you? You all have what it takes, right? You all have what it takes, right? What about y'all? You have what it takes. Now, my instructor is yelling louder than the students over there. Y'all have what it takes. That's what I'm talking about. So again, my name is Monica May, and I will host the panel. Our very first panelist is a FAMU graduate. She's an alum of Florida A&M. She happens to be the senior vice president of our title sponsor. Will you please help me welcome Miss Cheryl Harris. So Cheryl is with us every year. She gives us her time, she gives us her love, and she's very approachable. All of our panelists are very approachable. David Dawkins is with us this morning, and he's with Wells Fargo. He's the managing director of their diverse client segments group. We're gonna talk to him about some money, y'all, okay? Find out how we can do this. And if you see our display with that astronaut way in the corner, Kelly is really responsible for being on the team that brought NASA here. She is their education director. Please, young people, help me welcome Kelly Martin Rivers. STEM is what's up, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and she's gonna give us the lowdown on that. So we couldn't have a panel without having an HBCU student. So if you will, help me welcome Miss Sarah Wilson from Bethune-Cookman University. Now, we're rounding out our panel with a woman whom I've known forever and ever and ever and ever. She is a Howard alum, also Maryland University as well. She has her master's in communication. She comes packed. She's got a great sense of humor. She is smart. She's got the most beautiful smile I know. And whenever Sybil is out, this lady brings the goods with her. Y'all give it up for Madeline Woods. Our final panelist, I mean, he got gripes all day, every day that he's on with us on the mornings, and that's every Monday and Wednesday. You know him from Def Comedy Jam, HBO, the movie Animal, Life. He's working on a documentary right now with Kevin Hart, Martin Lawrence, Cat Williams, also Nick Cannon. Will y'all give it up for the man with the most gripes in the morning? Give it up to Guy Torry. So we got fun. We have information for you as well. So how are you all doing this morning? Were you part of the Sky Show? Oh, y'all didn't get up that early, right? Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. And we also have some microphones down front if you all have some questions for us as well. So I'm actually going to start with Guy. You got the mic in your hand as well already.
I'm ready. I'm always ready. I stay ready. How y'all doing? Y'all good? Make some noise. That's what I'm talking about. Yes.
So the first question naturally is going to be, were you an HBCU student?
I was not an HBCU student. My brother was, and I was kind of jealous that I didn't go. Two of my brothers went actually.
Okay.
And now I see the importance of an HBCU, and I went to a state college.
Okay.
And I regret it. Deeply, I regret it.
But did you finish? Did you not?
I didn't finish, and I want to talk to everyone about the importance of finishing, because not finishing really made me insecure when I entered the workforce. It made me the habits that you have in high school and college follow you in your adulthood. And being a comedian and an actor, it's like if you have bad study habits, it's going to follow you when you're an actor and a comedian. And that's very important to have good work ethic. I had to learn, I had to do it double time because I didn't have those good study habits in high school and in college, and I had to work overtime, which really kind of distracted me from just being an actor and being a comedian. But you know, I pulled my weight, but I wish I had finished, and I wish I had gone to HBCU.
Two things to that. It's never too late. It's never
Never
ever
too late.
too late. But the second thing is, what did your parents think of you when you chose entertainment?
Well, I was fortunate to have an older brother named Joe Torry, who started first. And when he chose entertainment, my parents wasn't too happy with that, because he went to school for 4 years. He graduated with a degree in communications, mass communications. And when he told my father he was going to do comedy, my father flipped and said, "Damn, boy, you didn't have to go to school for that."
See?
But then once he saw my brother making an honest living, and you know, we bought them a house, then he changed his tune real quick.
Oh yeah.
But and then my brother ended up getting an honorary doctorate from Lincoln University in Jefferson City, Missouri.
Okay. I can attest to the fact of being in entertainment. I did get a 4-year degree, but my family was not that excited about me doing it, coming into radio, but I knew it's what I wanted to do. So my point to you all, it doesn't matter what everybody says. We love our parents. We want to honor them. But in the end, it is up to you.
Yes.
You've got to live your life. You've got to live your life.
Yeah.
And also, it wasn't until they saw the other side of me being able to take care of myself and still provide some nice things for them that they understood. Okay, maybe it is something that you can make a living off of, you know? Mad, you've got 2 kids in college now. Can you believe that?
I do.
Sorry.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're
Okay,
hearing
yeah.
you fine.
And my kids actually go to PWIs. So I have a son at Georgetown
Tell them what
University.
PWI
It's a predominantly white institution. Neither of my children chose to go to HBCUs, but that was their choice. And it kind of goes back to what Monica's saying. Even though your parents may have an ideal for you, if you have a dream and you have a desire for something, you got to make it happen. And I promise them, if you get in and you get some scholarship money, you can go. So they went. So my son's at Georgetown. My daughter just graduated from American University Law School. And I actually went to a PWI and an HBCU because...
Let's talk about the transition, because you went to
Yeah.
the HBCU first. She's a Howard University graduate, no?
No, exactly.
Maryland first?
I went to the University of Maryland first.
See, I didn't know
which
that.
is like University of Florida here. It's a major white school, big football team, big basketball team, ACC champions, and it was such a white experience that when I graduated, I said, I got to get some black. So I went to Howard.
Come back home.
I went to Howard, and that was definitely home, because if you don't know, that is the real HU, you know, and it's the Mecca. It is the Mecca when it comes to HBCUs, and that's no disrespect. You know, we tease each other when you go to an HBCU. It's a familial kind of relationship, so we tease each other. But yeah, I went to Howard University. I actually got my master's there. And another reason why I went to Howard is because when I went to the University of Maryland, like many of you, I did dual enrollment. So I came out with so many AP courses. I graduated in 3 years from the University of Maryland. I wanted to be in television, and at 19 years old, nobody would hire me. So I was like, well, why can't I get on the air? So I said, I'm going to Howard. Howard has its own radio station. It had its own television station. That was my first job. And from there, I went to Beaufort, South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, BET, and then national. So school is school. It's what you make out of it.
And also, if you are choosing a field like radio,
Yep.
television, any of the entertainment areas, just know you're not going to go into the come up like that.
Right.
When I tell you some little jabit places that I've lived in, ooh. Let me come to Sarah. Sarah is a senior now.
Yes, ma'am.
And she's representing the Wildcats very well. I do want to say that.
Hell, Wildcats.
Hey,
Welcome to VCU.
But I want to talk with you, Sarah, about the leadership activities. Just what is it that you need to do to stand out from other students on your campus?
Can you guys hear me? Holding leadership positions in college definitely has helped me in so many ways. Being that I'm the president for the student chapter of the National Association of Black Journalists, something you all should definitely look into. It helps you develop how to work with people. And it also helps you realize sometimes you may not want to be in a leadership position, because being a leader means you have to take on a responsibility. You have to be accountable for not only yourself, but other members who you are leading. You have to be a trusted individual. And you have to know that sometimes you'll be that bad guy in some cases. And you'll learn early on business from pleasure, because obviously I lead most of my peers who are also my friends. And sometimes you have to say to your friends, you know, hey, you're not the best worker in the group, but you have to learn how to say that and be able to send those messages to people where it's not, you know, too heavy on, right. You have to know how to deliver, and it just helps you all over and realize yourself. You see your own strengths and weaknesses as well as others.
So you know what? This is a question that someone may want to start thinking about right now. You have many students from our local schools like Jones High School. All right. Many students are going to transition into Bethune-Cookman University.
Come on.
What are some things that you can share with them that they need to start doing right now in terms of developing those extra hours and all of that stuff, the volunteer hours?
I would say start getting involved in some things in high school now. I know for myself, I didn't take advantage of many leadership opportunities like student government, student body activities, and I realized going into college, that was something that was like extremely important to the school. You're basically an advocate and ambassador for students. So all the things that you see going around in high school, and even when you go to college, you know, certain events or parties, and you have your comments on them like, you know, why is it like this? You can be the change that you want to make this event pop or party pop, or maybe you want to bring an organization into your school. So I would say get involved now, you know, kind of do some research, see what you like, see what you don't like, and, you know, see how things work for yourself.
Well, thank you very much. Good answer, good answer. Kelly, that big old astronaut back there, did you ever see yourself working in this field? Were you really good at science, technology, engineering, mathematics when you were in school to think about yourself being in a career?
I thought that was an
NASA?
MTV thing. I thought it was the MTV
You
movement.
thought it was the MTV
I thought it was
movement.
MTV movement all the time.
No, guy, that's why you needed to finish.
So growing up and in school, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio.
Can
And-
everybody hear? Okay. No? Yeah.
Now can you hear me? Okay, growing up, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and I am the product of teachers, educators. So my parents are teachers, my grandparents were professors, and my great-grandparents were professors at Tuskegee. So I come from a long line of educators, and I didn't want to do that. So I buried myself in math and in science, upward bound, any opportunity that I could get to build STEM, build science, build a background, because I loved it. I loved taking things apart. I loved putting them back together if I could. And I swore I'd never go into education. So I majored in chemical engineering at Ohio State University. And coming out of school, majoring there, I was able to do a lot of different things that gave me opportunity. I worked on the pipeline up in Alaska for 4 summers, which paid for my school. But coming out, it wasn't the job of passion for me. And so I did what I never thought I'd do, and I followed education. And I've done that for 32 years. I think that what a student needs to do, what you all need to look at, is what is your passion? Take advantage of every experience you can. In my office and through NASA at our Office of STEM Engagement, we offer opportunities from kindergarten all the way to graduate students for research, for experience, for exposure, robotics, challenges. We've got everything from name the next Mars rover to research opportunities for high school students. Just recently, we awarded $2.99 million over 3 years to Prairie View A&M for a research grant, research opportunity for students there.
That's a clap up, you guys. That's a clap up.
We have opportunities at North Carolina A&T. We have opportunities at virtually every HBCU right now, and most of the MSIs, which are minority serving institutions that are not necessarily HBCUs. But opportunities exist for you as high school students to enter challenges and really test yourself in a group setting, test yourself in an individual setting. And all of that leads to you figuring out what it is that's your passion. I was telling these folks backstage that I majored in chemical engineering, never worked as an engineer a day in my professional life.
So wait a minute. How does all of that connect?
Because what I learned as an engineering student was how to really analyze data, analyze what was important, what was not important, and push the unimportant things out of the way. I learned how to look at mechanics and how things fit together, causes, risks, analysis, those kind of things, and they apply to everything in life. But I think the most important thing is being ready for an opportunity when a door opens. It may not be the right opportunity for you, but if you're not ready, it's not an opportunity for you. So always look forward, pursue the things that you want to do, that you love to do, that you have an interest in, and don't think about what other people say about it, and find someone who can champion you, who can help open doors, and who can give you, inspire you to really push yourself beyond where you think you can go. And that's what I love about my job, because our NASA challenges and our NASA research opportunities in STEM engagement, and particularly for MSIs, open all of those opportunities to explore yourself. And internship opportunities give you an opportunity to work alongside of people who may be doing what you want to do later on. NASA employs thousands of interns at 10 centers every single year, summer, fall, and winter terms. And if you can give 10 to 16 weeks of your time, it will take you so much farther than a summer job, or so much farther than just looking at what I want to do down the road. So at NASA, you can apply for internships right after you graduate from high school. And we have information about that at our booth as well. But
So
we
wait a
start
minute, is
too
that
late.
for the internship, or so you can intern after high school?
You can intern the
Not
summer
while you're a
after
student?
high school.
Not while you're a student.
Not at my center while you're a high
Okay.
school student, but at some centers you can.
Okay.
Every center is a little bit different, but every center starts the summer that you graduate from high school. But understand that that application process is 6 months ahead of time.
Okay.
And we can talk to you all about that, but it's all about taking advantage of opportunities.
So I need you all to start formulating some questions, because we're going to turn it over to you in just a moment, all right? Thank you very much for that. I can think of so many things I want to ask you, but I'm going to keep it tight and right, okay? David, in a career that touches on diversity, you've had a long trajectory, long history of working all of that with Wells Fargo?
Oh, no.
And did you go into banking thinking that you would be handling money, or you would be dealing with, clients and moving them in a different magnitude? What would you do?
Can everybody hear me? So, I went to college to be a doctor. My parents gave me 2 career options when I went to school.
I just needed to be up closer.
I had 2 options when I went to school. I could be a lawyer or a doctor. And fortunately for me, in my senior year, I figured out, and my senior year was actually my 5th year, my college scholarship ran out, and I had to pay for my tuition. And I lucked, for lack of a better word, into the business of finance and found what I was passionate about. So to complement what some people said before, to me, a career is more about what you're passionate about, what you're driven to do, because I don't think I work for a living. I get to play for a living doing something I really love. But to get back to your question about the business of banking, I'm not really in banking, I'm in wealth management. But what drove me into the business was the opportunity to change my future trajectory. I grew up in the projects in New York City.
Which one?
You really want which ones?
Okay.
Ford Independence, are you familiar?
No, not that one. And that's in Brooklyn?
In Bronx.
In the Bronx.
In the Bronx.
Okay.
Ford Independence in the Bronx. And I wanted to be the person in my family to help change the trajectory of my family. And I saw wealth management business as a way to do that. But since I'm in the money business, I just want to share with you, if you ask my daughters what my motto in life is, they'll tell you my motto is, life is about choices. And what that means for you is, I happen to think that college is a critically important choice, especially for us as African Americans. And the reason why I think it's so important is that if you look into the future about where we're headed as a community, there was a recent article in Black Enterprise talking about the racial wealth gap. How many of you are familiar with that concept? Anybody? Okay. What the racial wealth gap talks about is the fact that white wealth is growing, black wealth is declining. And that's a problem. And according to this article, black wealth is going to zero. One of the ways to address it is through education. One of the most powerful ways to address it is by getting higher education. Just for comparison, over the lifetime of the average person in the United States, the difference in income of a college graduate versus a high school graduate, listen to me carefully, if you're average, is $600,000. How many of you are average? Exactly. So you're all above average, which means that it's probably going to be greater than $600. And for people at the highest earning levels in each category, that could mean $1.8 million just in income. That's not including the benefits of growing that money through investing, which is what I get to do for people. So life is about choices. Think very carefully about what your options are about your career. Number one, commit yourself to your studies in school so that you get to be a part of the change in the direction of wealth in our community. So,
I like that. I like that. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. Yeah. So I'm sitting next to a FAMU Rattler. She'll never let you forget that she is an HBCU graduate. She has excelled in what she does. Cheryl is now the Senior Vice President of Allstate, and I want to know in what capacity, and I also want to know, how did you get Allstate ahead of the Tom Joyner family reunion?
Wow. Hey, good afternoon. You guys having a good time? Are you having a good time? All right, I'll answer the question now. So when I think about my attending FAMU, similar to David, I come from very humble beginnings. Not going to college was not a choice in my household. My mother was on welfare, my father was in and out of our lives, and I knew that education would make the difference. So if there are any of you in that situation, know that there is a path forward, right? It's all about the choice that you make, the choices that you make. I would say going to an HBCU, FAMU in particular, and I want to touch on what Guy said, helped me build the right habits. And I will tell you, there was a point in time, and I share this story often, when I started to go astray. I actually was pledging a sorority and wasn't going to class. And when I tell you, my professor said, if you don't bring your tail to my class, I'm gonna call your mama. And guess what? He called my mother. Guess who was back in class? Guess who passed that class with a B? Not an A. I passed it. That was a good thing. But I talk about that for a very specific reason, because it's FAMU's motto, excellence with caring. And when you think about the situation that some of our kids find themselves in, I have 5. I have 3 in college right now. I have 1 that attempted to go to FAMU. He's around here somewhere, so he's gonna get mad because I'm talking about him. But when I tell you that the people on campus reached out to provide him with the care and feeding that he needed, they did everything they could do to help him be as successful as he wanted to be, right? It's about choices. So I encourage you, if you are a student that needs, I would say, a little TLC, an HBCU may be for you. I also have a child that goes to a PWI. He's at Miami of Ohio, majoring in architecture. But this is a kid that has never needed any extra help. So I think you also need to understand who you are and what you need. Again, if you need someone to encourage you, coach you, be there to wrap their arms around you, help you build those habits, you cannot go wrong with an HBCU. Pivoting to Monica's question about Allstate and the Tom Joyner relationship, actually the relationship precedes my joining Allstate. I actually joined Allstate in 2011, so this is my 7th year here, but it gets back to Allstate's commitment to investing in things that are important to the African American community. So I will also say that, you know, when you go on in life, it's going to be critically important that you identify those organizations that support our community. You use your buying dollars, your buying power with those organizations, those companies that support our community. And I will tell you, for 17 years strong, Allstate has supported the Allstate Tom Joyner Family Reunion. We've supported activities to not just help kids go to school, young adults go to school, but help keep them in school, because that is a major issue with our children. We get them there, but then they can't afford to stay for various reasons.
That's what happened to me.
Yeah, so I would also say that as you go along in your education, make sure that you take the time to give back, right? My job has nothing to do, someone asked this of me earlier, my job has nothing to do with marketing or the foundation. I actually my job is to spend $4 billion a year of Allstate's money. And I try to do that with minority and women-owned businesses.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it
Yeah.
too,
I
right?
love that.
That's amazing.
But I take time out of my calendar every single time there's a phone call from someone that asks me to help do something for the greater good of our community. And I ask that you also do the same thing as you continue in your careers.
Give it up for Cheryl, please.
Nice.
Here's what I want to do. I want to put a pin right there and allow you all to jump into this conversation, because it doesn't work if we don't get feedback. So I've got a microphone set up right here, and I would love to hear some of your thoughts, all right? While I'm getting a couple of students, and I would like some of the instructors to help me, or even, yes, if you can pinpoint, you know your students better than we do, pinpoint some leaders right now. How about that? Pinpoint some leaders who can come up to the microphone. I wanted to say that with the FAMU situation at Barber Scotia, was a school, I stopped going to class after a while, and it was my English teacher who threw some pebbles at my window, true story, and said, "I need to see you." And he sat me down and he said, "Robin Monica May, you are wasting your time. What do you want to do?" And when I told him that it was radio, he was the first adult that didn't make fun of me, didn't laugh. He said, "Oh, I already saw that." He said, "How about television too?" So I also did some BET, but I like radio better. But that was the first person to take me seriously. So for that, I say, open up your mouth, tell somebody about your dreams, but you gotta dream first, and you gotta dream big. Can we have some of our young people?
Monica.
I would love to hear. So introduce yourself.
Don't
Come
be
on,
shy.
come on. Your name, your school, and then your question.
Hi, my name is Morgan Lee, and I go to Olympia High School. I'm really interested in going to Howard. A lot of my family members went to Howard. And realizing that FAMU is a public school and Howard is a private institution, it costs a lot more money. So I was just wondering how you fully dealt with the tuition not based on scholarships.
Now, remember, I went 100 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
So scholarships
Girl,
were a little
stop.
easier, but really, and I'm so glad you asked that because if no one had come up, I was going to bring this point up. When you're thinking about school, it's wonderful to think about, I really want to go to Howard, I really want to go. But you also have to keep in mind your reality. And if you're going to come out of school with $200,000 in debt or $300,000 in debt, you might want to make some adjustments. So FAMU is an awesome school, and I'm not saying that because my husband is 3 generations of Rattlers that I married into. But to get to Howard, you have to look at some other corporations that also offer scholarships. When my daughter went to UF here, she got Bright Futures. That won't work for Howard,
Right.
but this is a state situation, and I want everybody to think about this. In addition to that, she got a $25,000 renewable scholarship from CNN. So when she went to college, she made money.
Right.
So she chose UF as opposed to Howard. So you could choose FAMU as opposed to Howard. She put that 25 grand in her pocket every year, and her room, board, tuition was paid because she was a Bright Future Scholar. Okay, so you really want to be smart when you think about that. And something else about HBCUs that I want you to think about, I taught at Cookman, so when I met Sarah, I was like, oh my gosh, I actually taught Mass Comm at Cookman while I was on the air here in Orlando. When you're at an HBCU, it is definitely more nurturing, more engaging, we care. But the other thing you have to think about is that you won't get in just because you're black. And you guys got to think about that. HBCUs are just as competitive as every other university and college. So when you are thinking about going to school, you need a relationship with someone in that admissions office and that dean of the college that you want to study. Just like you Instagram and tweet and Snapchat, you need to be touching base with them once a month. And I'm not joking when I say that because there's a formula that they use, and I don't know if a lot of people know this. When you're applying to college, they keep track of how many times you reach out to contact them. So keep that in mind too when you're applying. So email someone that you have a contact with regularly. Hey, I had a great semester. I ended with a 3.9 GPA. Hey, I'm on the volleyball team, but my grades are doing this. You just want to establish a rapport with the people at the university where you want to attend. Do that at Howard, you will get some money.
And to add on to that, sorry.
Go ahead.
And to add on to that, they will respond. I know sometimes we see, oh, they might not respond, but they will respond. You know, you never know. Just take the first leap and just reach out to them. They will respond to you.
Hi, so I have 2 questions. Is that
Okay, your name first and what school?
My name is Courtney. I'm from Jennings, and I go to Dr. Phillips High School.
Hey!
DP?
So my first question is for all the HBCUs. Do you all accept Florida prepaid?
My understanding is yes. In Florida.
If you're in Florida.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Florida prepaid, Bright Futures doesn't work anywhere outside of here. Sometimes there will be a university that might have a reciprocal relationship, but that's so rare. So do your research if that's what you're counting on to go to school.
Okay, thank
Thank you.
And
You had
my-
another question?
Yes. So
My son went to DP too.
Oh, cool. So my second question is for FAMU. So this is more about like the business side of things. What would you say, I guess for all of you guys, what is the most important and crucial thing for you to start up a business? Like what must you know? Like what must you like feel to like start a business? Like to have a plan or
Well, that
Yeah.
was, that
To
was the
become an
answer. She
entrepreneur?
asked the question, have a plan.
yes.
Yeah.
What type of business? A.
That's it.
Do work on that business plan and do learn the marketing side of that business.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is very critical to find other people that are doing what it is you want to do. Look at them on social, reach out to them as well, and then just do it.
Do me a favor,
Okay.
talk to me after this program because I actually know of organizations that support young women entrepreneurs, and we can get you the plug.
Okay,
There you
thank
go. All right.
That's
Nice.
the plug.
All right.
Greetings. My name is.
He scared me. Oh, you scared
No,
me.
right?
I thought Dorian, you were getting ready to make an announcement about Dorian or something.
Greetings.
Okay.
My name is Josiah Jackson. I attend the Great Jones High School. My question.
Jones High School. Go Tigers.
My question is directed towards Mr. David. Could you offer a peek into like what you do as a financial representative and entail your job?
Lift the mic up.
Give a description of your job and what you do and what benefits the world of finance has for you or just people in general.
So before you start, David, they just told me we have 1 minute left. However, we do come on the side, and you guys can just sit with them for just a moment. So go ahead, David.
So very quickly, what I do presently for Wells Fargo, my role is Director of Diverse Client Segments. And what that means is we're trying to figure out, and that's my job, of how to attract more people of difference, primarily ethnic and racial diverse people to our business to work in our industry, number one. And number two, figure out how to attract more diverse people to our business as clients. And to me, again, it's not work, it's a passion. It's about why you ought to be doing what I do and why you ought to be a client of ours in the future. If you're a client of ours, that means you have wealth, and I'm interested in you having wealth so that you can be my client. And that's what I do every day.
Yeah, and I'd also like to add to that, think about the corporations or any place that you're interested as a whole structure. People think of NASA and they think of science and they think of engineers, but NASA is a full culture. We have our chief counsel here with us today. It's from Stennis Space Center.
Wow.
We have our director of communications here. We have our associate director of safety here from Stennis Space Center, and Kennedy Space Center has a whole slew. So everything from procurement to business to legal to engineering, to education, to communications and marketing. NASA is a city unto itself in 10 different places, and there's a job in every industry at NASA, and many organizations are like that as well. So
All right, one of
don't
the things
pigeonhole.
that happens when we are in a sponsored situation is sometimes we gotta wrap it and move it. So I'm going to ask if you can, and you 1, 2, 3, that's a few students that you can meet with. Let's do that. Give it up, please, for Miss Cheryl Harris.
Thank you.
From Allstate. David Dawkins, Wells Fargo. Kelly Martin Rivers from NASA. Sarah Wilson from BCU. Madeline Woods and Guy Torry.